welcome to Inspireneer podcast. I am your host, Fileisha Wilson, and we have author Keith Campbell here that is going to talk about his book called Separation of to Elevation,
Yes.
Letting Go Chaos. So, Keith, tell me more about yourself.
Well, I'm from Chicago, Illinois. I'm actually actively a police officer right now, but I worked in the school system for 18 years as a dean's assistant in an alternative school. Writing and acting has been my passion for a long time. So, doing
Okay.
my thing.
All right. I see you doing your thing. So, you have your book here.
Yes, I do. This is my book, Separation for Elevation, Letting Go Chaos. And you can actually go to Amazon.com and pick up my book, or you can go to my website with it, which is KCamProductions.net. KCamProductions.net. And you'll get to see a lot of other things that I'm doing. But we'll talk about that here on the show also.
Okay.
And I did autograph a copy for you,
Okay.
so you can have a copy of my book.
Thank you. Nice. So, how did you come up with the cover? Separation for elevation.
And you take a look at the cover. On the cover, you can see at the bottom is dark, and at the top is light, and you see me looking up. So that's pretty much me separating from all the chaos in my life. And when I'm looking up, I'm elevating to something totally different. So I'm taking my life into a totally different direction, and I'm letting go of all the chaos that I went through.
That's very interesting. So, how did the book come about?
Now, that's an interesting story. This book has been resonating in me for years. So, when I was younger, my mom and dad got divorced. And when my mom and dad got divorced, my brothers and sister, we all went through a period of chaos and separation in our lives. Whether we were separated from one another or whether we were separated from our parents. You know, some of us were separated from my father, and some of us were separated from my mother. And during that time, I was the middle child. So I was dealing with separation basically all my life. So I started writing and putting my feelings on paper because sometimes it's difficult for when you're a young kid to really express yourself. So that's how I got the passion for writing. And I started putting these things in the book, and then next thing you know, I went through other things in my life being chaotic, and that's how that book came apart. And I started taking everything and I compiled it together and I put it in this book.
Okay. So, those that haven't read your book, can we get a sneak peek of what's inside the book?
Okay, uh, a sneak peek. Let me see what I could tell you without giving away everything in the book. Separation for elevation is a lot of my raw life stories. And I take them and I use them to help you and to help other people know that you're not the only one that's going through chaos in life. Everybody experiences chaos in one form or another. You experience chaos. And through the book, I tell you how I overcame some of the chaotic situations in my life. And at the end of each chapter, there's actually worksheets that you can do that would help you deal with the chaotic situations in your life. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to solve anybody's problems. That's not what I'm doing. But I'm trying to give you a pretty much a guideline of what to do if you do encounter chaos in your life of any form.
Nice. So, what are some of the themes or the subject lines you have in your book?
Well, one of the first chapters, if you go in my book and you look at it, one of the first chapters I talk about is, like I told you, the middle child. A lot of us that grew up the middle child can understand that there's a separation syndrome that a lot of kids, adults, and everybody deal with being the middle child. So that's a separation right there. And I talk about how I dealt with that separation. And then I go down and I talk about another chapter. One of my chapters in this book that I really gravitate to is called "A Break in the Chain." In your life, there has to be a break in the chain somewhere in order for you to separate from the things that are holding you in the place and keeping you from excelling or keeping you from elevating. So I talk about that in the book. And usually when something is keeping us from elevating, it's usually chaos. And I talk about that. And you're gonna hear me a lot of times in this interview, you're gonna hear me constantly go back to elevation, and you're gonna constantly hear me go back to chaos. Because chaos and elevation usually go together. Because in order for you to elevate, you have to separate from chaos.
Wow, that's really good. I'm a middle child, so I know this book is going to
Oh
be
yeah.
more interesting for me to read it because, when you're a middle child, you kind of, things are kind of skipped over you at times, especially if you have your older sibling and then you have a younger sibling. So a
Correct.
lot of times you're overlooked in a lot of the chaos because if the older child is cutting up and then you have the younger child cutting up and then you have the middle child is kind of in between everything, there can be some separation in there.
And that's one of the things I talk about in the book. Without giving away everything, I talk about there was four of us. And people always look and say, well, if there were four of you, how are you the middle child? Well, I wasn't the only girl. I wasn't the youngest boy. And neither was I the oldest boy. So that left me right there in the middle being separated from day one.
Right. And see, it's four of us, but I'm a twin. so,
Oh, okay, okay. So that's
so yeah, so it was kind of like, if it wasn't going on over here, it was something going over there. So it's kind of back and forth, and then the middle child is being overlooked on a lot of
correct.
things.
100%.
Yeah. So how would you want your readers to interpret your book? Because everyone has their different interpretations. So you have your interpretation of separation for elevation, right? So if your readers are reading it, how would you feel if they interpret it differently than what you intended it to be?
I wrote this book with the intention of making everyone feel comfortable that they're going through chaos. So I don't think that there's no wrong way anyone can interpret this book. It isn't because chaos is chaos, regardless of what it is. Uh, a woman may have a breakup, and a man may look at it and say, "Well, that's not chaotic for me. Just move on." But it's chaotic to her. A man may lose a job, and a woman may say, "Well, that's not chaotic to me. Just move on." But see, chaos affects all of us differently. So there's no wrong interpretation of this book. This book, Separation for Elevation, there cannot be any wrong interpretation because we all experience chaos and we all go through chaos. So I don't, I never wrote it with uh, a specific intention or no one looking saying, well, what can I interpreted this wrong. No, you can't interpret it wrong. And if you go to the worksheets and you read the chapters are just my raw truth. But the worksheets are things that you use to get your life to actually go back, look at it, and say, you know what? He's right. Yeah.
So why do you feel that they will benefit from the book? Just based on everything that you've said, you have separation for elevation, letting go of chaos. So why do you feel that we as readers will benefit your book overall?
One reason that people will definitely benefit from my book is because when people write, and people who have read my book have said it's so personal. It's personal, and that's the biggest thing that I think that when it comes to chaos, people don't open themselves up. People hide themselves. People run in fear of being judged. I didn't do that in this book, and that's one thing people gonna take from this book. They're gonna say, you know what? I don't have to be afraid of letting go of my chaos I don't have to be afraid of separating from something. And that's the thing about this book that's so good is people will definitely gravitate to it because and it's not a long read. If you look at it, it's 100 and some pages. And that's the good thing because we right now we live in a society that's quick. You know, they quick. They want to go. They want to run. They want to do this. You they call them the microwave generation. You know, this generation, and that's another thing that's gonna draw people to this book because they're gonna get so much information in such a book like this, and it's not that thick. You could get on a plane, fly to Atlanta, read half of it, then fly back and read the other half. And that's what I think nowadays people not picking up the big novels no more. Now don't get me wrong, there are people that will pick up the big novels, but right now more people want something quick, a quick fix. What can I read to help me while I'm sitting at home going through this divorce, or while I'm sitting at home going through a lost job, or while I'm sitting at home dealing with whatever it is, a loss of a child or anything. They want to know, what can I do? And if they pick up this book, Separation for Elevation, Letting Go Chaos, trust me, they will be able to deal with a lot of those things. One of the things I talk about also is about building relationships, because when you build relationships with people, you know, how many times have you been with someone and then they say, "Oh, I'm not your friend no more." But if you have a relationship, I don't have to see you every day. I don't have to talk to you every day. But when we see each other, it's like we never missed a beat. So those relationships help you release stuff also. You're able to release things to people and talk about it, release the chaos that's going in your life because you feel safe, you feel secure, you feel a good place.
Right. And you definitely need to have safe friendships
Safe.
that you can be able to go to someone and talk to them without them judging you.
Yes.
And you're not really looking for answers because you already have the answer on the inside of you. You're
Correct.
just looking for someone you can talk to and
Yeah.
release that chaos, release that drama,
Release it.
trauma, whatever that may be that you're holding on the inside where you feel like you have to hold it, keep it safe so you're not being judged or condemned.
And that's one of the things I really dive into that in this book, and this book with the worksheets, it make you take a serious look at yourself. And maybe sometimes, I'm just being honest, maybe sometimes you're the chaos, and it make you take a look at yourself and make you release the chaos from yourself and separate from it to elevate.
Right.
Maybe it's some things you have to change in you. So,
Right. And a lot of I found that a lot of childhood traumas, as we grow up, we'll sabotage our own self because of the chaos that's on the inside already.
correct. And we have to separate from that.
Yes, we do. So tell me, how did you go about writing a book? Because we can start off with one. You can start off with one word, turn it into a sentence and paragraph, and then get writer's block. So how was that process for you?
God allows me, I get up in the middle of the night, I write things down, and usually when I write, I come up with 10 chapters first. I develop my chapters first, the name of my chapters first. Boom, 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 down the line. I say, okay, well, it's going to be 10 chapters in this book, or it's going to be 12 chapters in this book. And then I write the name of the chapters, depending on where I've been in my life and what happened in my life. And then I go back and, like I said, the middle child. I had all these chapters written at first, and then I go back and I say, okay, well, what was it like being the middle child? And I start writing my story, how it was in chronological order, different events that I feel that the reader will relate to, and that's what I start writing. And to me, have never, and I'm not saying it won't ever happen, but I have never gotten writer's block when I go back and I start writing those chapters. Never gotten writing block.
Right. Wow. Because you really knew what you were
I
writing.
knew what I was writing, and it's just been a divine gift from God that I could just go back and write.
So apart from separation for elevation, letting go chaos, Do you have any other work that you're doing at the moment, or you have in the future that's currently that you're working on as well?
I have several projects right now that I'm working on. I actually have a series which I wrote 15 episodes. It's going to be on WVTC Network, which is on every smart TV. It's an app you download. It's going to be on every smart TV. It's going to be on Apple TV. It's going to be on the Fire Stick and a lot of different networks. It's going to be on like 8 different platforms. And it's called Surviving Chaos. Each episode is different than the next episode. No episode connects to one another. And it's a series that talks about how people go through chaos and how they overcome it. So now, not only do you get to read the book, Separation for Elevation, Letting Go Chaos, now you're going to actually get to see some of these episodes that I write acted out by actors and actresses that you're gonna actually be more in tune to. You're gonna get more in touch with it. I also have another book that's coming out called Surviving Chaos: A New Beginning. Because okay, now that you're separated and you elevated, tell me, what are you doing now that you're surviving it? What are you doing now? What is your new beginning? How are you living your life now that you survived the chaos? And sometimes we have to talk about that because people can read this and yeah, now they separated from it, they elevated from it, but now what do I do? How do I live my life? How do I go on with it? And that's what I talk about in that. And I have a couple other projects in the fire, but I don't want to put them all out there right now.
Okay, that's a good thing. We look forward to knowing what else you're doing. So tell me, what was publishing like? Did you go the traditional route or did you self publish?
I self-published. Everything I did through my own company, KCam Productions, and people can go, like I said, people can go to my website, KCam Productions, KCAMPRODUCTIONS.net. They can go to my website and they can actually look at some of the other things that I'm doing. And I did that on my own because I just didn't want to go the traditional way. I didn't want to go to a big company and actually get lost in the other books because let's be honest, you got guys like Will Smith and all these guys that do books, and you go to these big companies and then you're left out there. But if I self-publish, go through do my own company, do my own thing, yeah, the legwork might be a little more, but it's the payoff in the end is what's worth it.
Yes, it is. And you save money.
And you save money. Yes,
Yes.
100%.
So, is there anything else you would like to share with your viewers about your book that you did not share or you want to mention?
One only thing I say about my book and that I would share with people is everything in it is real. There's no phoniness about it. There's no made up stories. It's not a fiction. It's not any of that. This book is exactly what it is. You're going to get to know the real me, and you're going to get to know everything about me. That the questions you sitting here and watching me now, you're going to get to really ask those questions, but you're going to read the book and you're going to know them.
As a published author, what sort of advice do you have for writers who are still struggling with publishing a book?
One thing I will say to anyone that's struggling to publish a book and struggling to get it out there, have a plan. Don't just jump out there. Have a plan. It's okay to write your material and sit on it until you get everything in order. I'm a big believer, a big, and a firm believer of doing things decent and in order. If you don't have the finances or if you don't have the platform right now, build you a platform of people that's following you. Social media is your best friend right now. It is. Social media is your best friend. Build your platform. So when you do come out with your book and you do come out with your material, whatever it is, you have a group of following that's going to follow you and that's going to support you. So that's one of the biggest things I would tell anybody. Build you a platform. Have your following right now. I think all my TikTok followers, you can follow me on TikTok, Keith Campbell. All my TikTok follow, everybody know me, Keith KCam Campbell. Everybody know me. They know KCam Productions. So you have to build you a following. That's the biggest advice I would give anyone.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for coming on Inspireneer podcast. And there you go. You can get your book, Separation for Elevation, Letting Go of Chaos. Look forward to additional book that's coming out. And you can contact Keith at what email is that?
You can contact me at Keith. It's Keith at kcamproductions.net. Keith at kcamproductions.net. Or you can go kcamproductions.net, which is the website.
Yes, thank you so much again. And get his book. Get your book. Get your book, and hopefully we can possibly get it signed if you're local. Get your book, Separation for Elevation, Letting Go of Chaos. And thank you for joining us on Inspireneer podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.